Time for the Power to Connect with Angela Ray.
When you were younger, did you always have this thing about fashion, or you wanted to sew? Like, when did you learn how to sew? Because that kind of begins it all.
Yeah, a lot of times people always ask me, like, how did you get into fashion? And my response is generally fashion got into me. I had no say about it, say whatsoever. Neither of my parents are really in creative fields or entrepreneurial even at all, but I was always the younger person who was ripping apart my clothes. My mom would buy something and then I would wear it one time, if at all, and rip it up and try to make it into something that was more me. That was always my biggest thing. And she was like, I just bought that. What are you doing? I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? But as children, sometimes we have those innate habits that are, saying something about us or saying something about ourselves, or even sometimes our environment. And that was just something that I always did. And my parents could never talk me out of it. I just say that I still do the same thing. I just know how to do it better now. Sometimes, especially in cultures of color or what have you, we have a matriarch or someone who teaches us how to sew. It's handed down. I didn't really necessarily have, like, everybody's grandma has the sewing kit that, inside the Danish cookie container.
Right.
That's not what's in there. I didn't really have a grandma that sewed like that, even though she had that. It was just always something that I wanted to be a part of. And then when I got older, towards the end of high school, I started being a little bit more serious about it. But growing up, it was something that I always was just intent.
So when did you take sewing classes? How did that materialize?
So high school, I actually went to high school as a major for science and technology. I had to test into my high school because I thought that I was going to be a doctor growing up. I went to high school for engineering, thinking I was going to go pre-med or do biomedical engineering or something of that nature. That did not end up happening. But it was great that I got that experience because it made me realize academically, I could kind of switch myself in whichever direction I preferred. But passion-wise, it wasn't what I loved. It wasn't what, I wanted to pursue for a long term because it just didn't it didn't really set fire to me at all. But going to school and then between junior and senior year, I kind of always knew I wanted to go to Syracuse University, and they have a summer college for high school students. So I decided to take part in that program. My parents were very supportive, but you could go in for a 6-week intense course and pick your major, if you will. So, they have their communication, they have engineering, and I was always still ripping up my clothes. I kind of didn't really know what it meant.
But let me pause you for a second. So did you end up majoring in engineering?
I ended up majoring in fashion design.
Okay. So when you went to college, did you pursue engineering at all, or had you figured out at some point, no, it's fashion design?
I figured out it was fashion design at that summer college program. I chose fashion as my major there. I called my mom probably the second day and was like, I'm not going to be a doctor anymore. Like, this was it. This was it. Because in high school, I didn't really have the opportunity to do a lot of art classes because my major, my framework was engineering. And we had electives, like we had all of that in high school too, because you had a curriculum you had to do. And I didn't really have a chance to try, which is why I think efficacy and all of those things are so important. So the summer after my junior year, my parents let me go and try fashion design as a formal program, a formal curriculum. And I just fell in love with it. And that was like my first chance to really do it. I mean, in a very formal setting where I understood how to thread a machine and do all of those things.
Your story is really great because it goes back to something that I like to tell people. The dreams that we had when we were children growing up, I need you to hold on to those dreams because as we grow up and we're like, life happens. I got to get this job because I got to pay these bills. But then we forget about all of the dreams and plans we had for ourselves when we were little. And what Syreeta has let us know, and I can tell you, I've drawn from the same well, gone back to my childhood and said, I told my mom I was going to go to law school, went to law school. So this is a good example of something that's really important to me, and that is holding on to your childhood dreams and understanding it is never too late to make it happen. Secondly, Syreeta talked about wanting to, look at all that she went through. I think I'll be a doctor. I think I'll major in engineering. Went to this program. Hey, wait a minute. I found what is going to work for me and make me happy. So she exposed herself to a lot of things and had conversations with herself and with her family. So these are some of the things that you too can do in order to start coalescing around and finding what it is that I want to pursue for a living and for my soul. Because sometimes, like, you're pursuing something for your soul. Sometimes you got to just work a job. And then this is my passion right here, what I'm doing. I work a regular job. Okay, regular job. But this right here is my passion. Sometimes you don't get to the job you do to make money is not your passion sometimes. Syreeta has been able to merge the two. And that's the position ultimately we all want to be in.
Don't forget to subscribe to The Power to Connect with Angela Ray and follow her on Facebook. You can also stay connected on Twitter and Instagram at angelaray.com.